Good evening to all participants. I'm Mohammed Tariq, Interns Team of Biodiversity Conservation Foundation. BCF India is working on conservation of wildlife and natural resources for more than 2 decades long. The sense of strategic planning based on holistic approaches connects our team with a common goal. BCF has started its contribution to nature conservation by integrating indigenous knowledge with our lifestyle, and a research team member contributing various research activities from the Gulf of Mannar to the Himalayas, encouraging young generations to involve in the field of conservation aspects from myrmecology to cethology, and exploring the diverse ecosystem across the country. BCF India always focused to conserve the diversity of various ecosystems through field-based research activities and awareness that would encourage proactive action for conservation of wildlife and wild habitats. We are strongly involving in educating young minds towards nature conservation and create awareness among people to live in harmony with nature. As the fact, we are on the road of conservation with a holistic approach to it, and this approach drove us to extend to the virtual platform and use it effectively to enable conservation and connect young generations and common people with internationally prominent scientists. Now, BCF India is happy to celebrate this special occasion, World Water Day, with expert scientists and our honorable speaker, Dr. Julie Ladel, on the pioneer topic of water conservation, nature-based solution to climate change. On behalf of BCF India, I am glad to welcome our honorable speaker and all participants to this international webinar platform. Now, I would like to invite one of our intern team member to introduce about today's speaker. Thanks for joining us.
A very good evening to all. Before giving the speaker intro, I would like to acknowledge and thank people on this special occasion. We, BCF team, would place heartfelt thanks to all the eminent and national and international speakers across the globe who have spent their valuable time in taking webinars on various fields of conservation and shared their knowledge to all our participants. Of course, with all our global and national participants, our international webinar was a success. We thank each one of them at this instance personally. At this instance, BCF team would like to thank Dr. A. Kumaraguru, conservation scientist, who has initiated the international webinar during the lockdown with free of service. With this able guidance, we interns could learn how to render the service to the country in the field of conservation. We tap each other in expressing our thanks to all BCF team members who made this international webinar success in the country and across the globe. And I would like to add a small note about World Water Day. World Water Day is held annually on 22nd March as a means of focusing attention on the importance of fresh water and advocating for the sustainable management of freshwater resources. This day is an opportunity to learn more about water-related issues, be inspired to tell others, and take action to make a difference. Water is an essential building block of life. It is more than just essential to quench thirst or protect health. Water is vital for creating jobs and supporting economic, social, and human development. And here are some of the Water Day quotes. When the well is dry, we learn the worth of water. Thousands have lived without love, no one without water. Always be like water, floating in the times of pain or dancing like waves along the wind which touches its surface. Nextly, on the behalf of BCF India, I'm Shruti, intern of BCF. Privileged in introducing our today's speaker, Dr. Julie Ladel, Integrated Water Resource Management and International Development Expert, to this international webinar on the occasion of World Water Day. She did her Master's in Organic Chemistry from Paris State University and PhD in Applied Hydrology from Paris University. From 1999 to 2002, she was expert in Asian European Environmental Technology Center. From 2002 to 2007, she was consult on water management and S&T in UCN, UNESCO, EGS, BRLI. And from 2007 to 2010, she was Water Resource Management Expert in International Commission for Congo Basin. Currently, she is the director of EDUCI, her freelance consulting firm, She has been implementing strategic international development and water management programs and projects for major organizations and have been serving as an integrated water resource management expert in 30 plus countries in Africa and Asia since 15 plus years. She has worked in international development cooperation in water or water-related institutions such as International River Basin Organizations, RBOs such as CICOS, that is Congo Basin, and LCBC, Lake Chad Basin Commissions, and intergovernmental organizations, African Union, Africans Religious Economic Committees, ASEM, etc. And also for implementation of SDG 6, access to water sanitations and integrated and transboundary water resource management, which is IWRM or TWRM, strategic programs of UNESCO, the European Union and African Union, and the African Development Bank is. Besides her field of expertise, she has developed organizational and institutional development and capacity building skills, as well as worked on development effectiveness. She has organized several international conferences and workshops in China, Côte d'Ivoire, DRC, Senegal, Vietnam, etc. She has also gained some experience in fragile states like Chad, Niger, Sierra Leone, and Central African Republic. BCF is happy in connecting the eminent professionals, scientists, stakeholders, students, and public, and various fields of technology expertise across the globe on this international webinar. We are delighted to connect our eminent speaker, Dr. Julie Ladel, Integrated Water Resource Management and International Development Expert on this international webinar, and waiting to listen on water conservation, nature-based solution to climate change. Now the session is over to you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you, Suruti. Thank you, Biodiversity Conservation Foundation. I'm very happy to be and honored to be invited to present on this special day of the World Water Day. It's a pleasure to be with you again in India, where I used to work for the European Union State Partnership Program with Rajasthan government from 2010 to 2013. I will start to present now. So as discussed, we will present on water conservation and nature-based solutions. The consultancy I'm belonging is Odyssey. It's my freelance company, and I'm subcontracting to other companies to implement international projects, like currently in the Caribbean with a French company. My website is .integratedwaterresourcemanagement.eu, IWRM.eu. For the presentation, we will look at the definition, goals, and examples of water conservation. And after that, we will look at nature-based solutions to climate change. And I will also provide 3 examples of projects we were working on, which could have an impact on water conservation. The rationale beyond the water scarcity is the population growth. From the 19th century, the population is increasing rapidly, and it is forecasted to double by the year 2100. To maybe 15.6 billion human on the Earth. This is United Nations data. This is a high forecast, and the low forecast is a decrease to 7.3 billion inhabitants on the Earth. In many regions, the water availability in both quantity and quality will be severely affected by climate variability and climate change, with more or less precipitation in different regions and more extreme weather events. In many regions, demand is increasing as a result of population growth and other demographic change, in particular urbanization, and agricultural and industrial expansion following change in consumption and production patterns. As a result, some regions are now in a perpetual state of demand outstripping supply, and in many more regions that is the case at critical times of the year or in years of low water availability. Therefore, there is a need for water conservation, and the goal of this water conservation are threefold: to ensure the availability of water for future generations where the withdrawal of fresh water from an ecosystem does not exceed its natural replacement rate. In scientific terms, we call the replacement rate the residence time of water in a reservoir. It can be a lake, it can be an aquifer, it can be the atmosphere, and we call that residence time. The second goal is the energy conservation, as water pumping, delivery, and wastewater treatment facilities consume a significant amount of energy. In some regions of the world, over 15% of total electricity consumption is devoted to water management. And the last goal of water conservation is habitat conservation, to help preserve freshwater habitats for local wildlife and migratory birds, but also to preserve water quality. To give you some examples of water conservation, the key activities to conserve water could be to reduce loss, use, and waste of water resource, to avoid any damage to water quality, and to improve water management practice that reduce the use or enhance the beneficial use of water. There are different engineering structures that help conserve water. For example, we have the rainwater harvesting system. And on this slide, you see an example of roof rainwater harvesting system, which is very common in India. And this system lies on the fact that rainwater is clean and free, and it promotes self-sufficiency. It's good for agriculture as the water is not chlorinated. It reduces stormwater runoff. It can solve drainage problems at home. It's a backup source to wells and municipal water. The systems are flexible and modular and can be retrofitted, and it's good backup source for emergency situations like drought or when we face water scarcity. Another example of engineering water conservation system is the artificial groundwater recharge for groundwater. For example, we can either recharge through land surface, through canals, infiltration basins, or ponds, or adding irrigation furrows or sprinkler systems, or simply by injecting water directly into the subsurface aquifer with injection wells. So if we look at this system, these water conservation systems, they are complemented now by what we call nature-based solutions. And I will give you two definitions of nature-based solutions, which we call in short NBS. So the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, has defined nature-based solutions during its World Conservation Congress in 2016 as the actions to protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural or modified ecosystems that address societal challenges effectively and adaptively, simultaneously providing human well-being and biodiversity benefits. The EU definition for nature-based solution is that solutions that are inspired and supported by nature, which are cost-effective, simultaneously provide environmental, social, and economic benefits, and help build resilience. Such solutions bring more and more diverse nature and natural features and processes into cities, landscapes, and seascapes through locally adapted, resource-efficient, and systemic interventions. The goal of nature-based solution is to support the achievement of society's development goals and safeguard human well-being in ways that reflect cultural and societal values and enhance the resilience of ecosystems, their capacity for renewal, and the provision of services. Nature-based solutions are designed to address major societal challenges such as food security, climate change, water security, human health, disaster risk, social and economic development. Regarding nature-based solutions, there are 8 principles that have been enunciated by IUCN and by Mr. Cohen-Saldman, which is in the reference at the end that I will share with you. And these principles are that nature-based solutions embrace nature conservation norms. They can be implemented alone or in an integrated manner with other solutions to societal challenges, like along with technical and engineering solutions. They are determined by site-specific natural and cultural context that include traditional, local, and scientific knowledge. They produce societal benefits in a fair and equitable way, in a manner that promotes transparency and broad participation. They maintain biological and cultural diversity and the ability of ecosystems to evolve over time. They are applied at a landscape scale. They recognize and address the trade-offs between the production of a few immediate economic benefits for development and future options for the production of the full range of ecosystem services. And finally, they are an integral part of the overall design of policies and measures or actions to address a specific challenge. As we saw, there are societal challenges that we listed above, including climate change and food security. If we focus on nature-based solutions to climate change, we can have different solutions can address climate change in different ways, including reducing greenhouse gas emissions such as CO2, CH4, and N2O related to land use, change in land use, and animal feed, capturing CO2 from the atmosphere and storing carbon in soils. In nature-based solutions, there are gradations possible in the use of natural processes. Some solutions for climate change in food systems can be qualified as intrinsic nature-based solutions. For example, the use of existing wetlands for water purification. Ecosystem dynamics are acknowledged and used in making food systems more sustainable and climate resilient without changing the dynamics. Other solutions are merely inspired by natural processes. In case of inspired nature-based solutions, natural dynamics can also be optimized, engineered for achieving societal objectives. Likewise, for interventions based on circularity, nature-based solutions can be implemented at different and/or multiple scales, like farm, watershed, landscape, region, and require multi-level governance support. To give you some examples of nature-based solutions, here are a few. Restoring and protecting forests and wetlands in catchment, bringing nature into cities, and restoring coastal habitat are among others examples for addressing climate change. For food security, the contaminants like antibiotics, pesticides, heavy metals, waterborne and or foodborne pathogens may accumulate in the environment and food system under a circular system. Nature-based adaptation solutions may provide alternative of using these contaminants in the environment and food systems. Now, we have seen the definitions and examples, and I am glad to share with you the experience of 3 programs that I've been working on in the last 10 years. So I've been working on a project in India, Rajasthan, with the government of India and the European Union. The purpose of this project was an integrated water resource management planning from state to Gram Panchayat, so through the decentralization of planning, integrated planning. And we were addressing some local level issues in the communities, in the Gram Panchayats, and supported by a district team of different departments, from agriculture to public health department and groundwater department. The second program I want to speak about is the Congo Basin project that I was implementing, which was about monitoring of environment for sustainable development in all over Africa. And this project was for Central African region only. The objective was to develop a water level monitoring by satellite and to develop an operational service based on this monitoring with an application for navigants to follow the water level change throughout the year. And in Zambia, we worked on the reform of the water sector as well, like in India, with a integrated water resource management planning as well. And we worked at the level of sub-catchment at catchment with planning which was integrating environment, agriculture, water supply and sanitation, and hydropower. So in India and Rajasthan, we were looking at water conservation. We promoted this water conservation through the knowledge sharing on traditional wisdom, ponds revitalization, rainwater harvesting, and aquifer recharge. We were doing an integrated planning through the support of 26 NGO, 300 staff from 26 NGO that we had trained. And they were supporting the village to do an audit, a water audit on the infrastructure and the system that were available to supply water and for both the water supply and sanitation and agriculture. If we look at transboundary water resource management in Africa, this is the map of Africa if we look at the major transboundary river basins. And I was focusing on Congo, and Zambia is part of the Zambezi Basin. So Congo Basin has developed its shared vision. Its Congo Basin Commission, its name is CICOS. Has developed a shared vision, which is that by 2035, it will be an area of regional integration in which emerging nations in solidarity will reinforce their abilities to make water an engine of economic growth and a source of well-being, while maintaining the quality of the ecosystems by adapting the use to climate change and favoring cost and benefit sharing. So Congo Basin Commission has developed a master plan. They are supporting its capacity building for implementation. The implementation of this plan is still an issue because of lack of financial and human resource. And then if they implement it, they could monitor and evaluate the implementation and learn the lesson and provide best practice to other transboundary river basins in Africa. So what they did was to monitor water level through satellite. We see on the right hand side, on the left hand side, the track of the satellite in red. And each time the satellite crosses the water, the river, it can measure the water level at a time space of 10 days, every 10 days. So it was also using Saral and Altica satellite, which is an Indian satellite. And the service became operational for navigants. But what I want to talk about in Congo Basin, there is also a lot of swamp forest. If you see, it's this forest here on the number 7 and number 8. It's a swamp forest that is called Central Basin in Congo. And Congo Basin Commission is trying to monitor the inundations below the trees to conserve this ecosystem. And this is very key because the bonobo monkey it's his habitat and is living there, and also a lot of biodiversity, other biodiversity species are there. So this is key to conserve the ecosystem, and that's what Congo Basin Commission is trying to do now. Also in Zambia, we were doing the reform of the water sector, and we were planning we did an integrated water resource management planning at the catchment level of the Kafue Basin here, where the capital city is located, somewhere here. And there is a wetland we can see here. It's called the Kafue Flats. It's also a very large wetland with a lechwe, which is a kind of antelope from the wetland, which is an endangered species, and that WWF is monitoring and protecting, conserving the flats with the communities. As a conclusion, I would say that water conservation can be achieved through nature-based solutions, and nature-based solutions address various societal challenges such as climate change, food security, water security, health, and natural disasters risks. The reference of this publication, this presentation are highlighted here, so you can refer to these documents, and especially the principles of nature-based solutions, which have been drafted by Cohen Zakam for IUCN. Thank you very much. This is my website, and you can communicate with me through the email that I've sent through the chat function. And I'm welcome any questions you may have on the water conservation and nature-based solutions and this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Julie, for your wonderful presentations, especially natural presentations. I request our team members can conclude these sessions. Thank you all.
Good evening to all.
Good evening.
It's a great pleasure to conclude. I'm just taking a conclude note. On behalf of BCF India, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Julie Ladel, Integrated Water Resource Management, IWRM, international development expert, and spending her valuable time on this fine occasion on World Water Day 2021. Ma'am, you openly shared your thoughts and experience about water conservation regarding nature-based solution to the climate change. It's very well you started with a background problem, that's human population size explosion, and you have given some set of examples for the conservation of water, and you have given a very defined definitions for nature-based solution from IUCN, European Union, and their goals as well. And it's very great you have just extended your thoughts towards the climate change, and as well as sharing your own experience on water conservation in India, Rajasthan, and then Congo Basin, Zambia in Africa, likewise. Also, you have published a paper on water policies on SDG 6.5 implementation, progress in integrated and transboundary water resource management implementation. Thank you so much, ma'am, and sharing for your thoughts. And thanks for joining in this webinar. On this occasion, let me just extend my thanks to Dr. A. Kumaraguru, conservation scientist, who has initiated this international webinar during the lockdown 2019 with a free of service. With his able guidance, all the students and as well as scholars and as well as from other disciplines and even the stakeholders are very well connected, and we are able to do the service to our country and as well as for the international in the field of conservation. And without the international and national participants, this webinar would have not reached to the height of the success. We appreciate all our participants in participating in this international webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you all.